Kia ora, down by the river with myself, Madam Parker, and the sister over here, Shay, Hira, here to talk about Maori and Indigenous entrepreneurs. So grateful and in awe to have you here by our river, sis.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me to be on here.
Thank you for being here, sis. Thank you for being here. Give us a little bit about you. Kia hato pepeha. What's a little bit about your whakapapa? Where are you from?
So I'm from Awanui, Ngā Takoto, and I also whakapapa from Tauako.
Kelly.
Yeah, we have
Beautiful.
just recently opened up our own physical shop in the main street of Huntly.
Huntly, what's the name of your shop?
Our shop's called Common Element.
And what kind of things can we find in your store?
So we have an array of different things. So the tonga that I create, that Madam Parker has on now, so those are called the whakapono earrings. And I also design a few others as well with the tānoko bands. So that was my point of difference when I created it, is I wanted to be able to kind of establish, those are my earrings.
Yes.
Down on a person. And yeah, so I just ties, greenstone, bone, apparel, hats as well, just all sorts, artwork.
Whatever you create, whatever you can come up with, you're going to throw it in there. So all the stuff is made by you?
So the majority of the stuff was made by me, but I had done a karanga, and what I did is I wanted to get different artists coming in and showcasing their mahi for a few different reasons, just so then there's a lot more selection for whānau to pick from.
Awesome.
And then also helping others get out there with their mahi.
Yeah, beautiful. So collaborations happening.
Absolutely.
That collective energy happening. I love it. I love it. So have you got anything online?
Yes, we do. So last week we ended up opening our online website. So that's called www.commonelement.co.nz.
And we'll ensure that we put those links in the bio or in the post or in the podcast as well, whānau. Beautiful. So up to this point, where did you, I guess I want to get through some layers now, dive a bit deeper. Where did it all start for you? Like when did you get the inspiration, and where did the inspiration come from, and where did you start?
So in 2020, I was actually in real estate. That's when the big lockdown happened.
That's when I first met you.
Absolutely. What a privilege.
What an honour.
At one of the business events. So that was a local one too. So that was actually quite cool.
Yeah, real estate. That's a big jump.
That is. It was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
And because of a lot of the barriers that we were having, I couldn't cross over to get into Auckland because we were considered as the Waikato. So I was just like, oh man, like, what am I going to do for income now? We had moved all that way, relocated specifically so I could tap into the Auckland market, and there were just so many things that didn't allow that to happen.
Yeah, so much red tape, especially around that type of mahi, eh?
Absolutely. And then I started connecting with whānau in Tauako that I hadn't actually seen since I was a toddler. And then my Auntie Tiata. Honestly, it's been such an honour, like meeting up with her again, listening to her, giving me advice. She was actually the one.
Auntie Tiata, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
She was the one who encouraged me, like, what else can you do then? And then she went on my profile and she was just like, I seen that you studied design. Did you actually pass? I was like, did I actually pass? Yeah. She was like, okay. And she goes, I got a sewing machine at home if you want to use it, brand new in the box. I was like, okay. And then so she brought over a mask, her sewing machine, and actually a whole bunch of kai as well. She was just like, here you go. And
then beautiful. I mean, awesome to tap into your aunties, eh? Especially those ones.
Absolutely.
Here's the sewing machine, go on.
Here you go. Because it's not like at that stage we could have gone out and easily got one because retail at that stage was closed.
Yeah.
So everything was so limited, and she brought a mask and she was just like, here, cut this out and use this as a pattern. Sure, you got some material lying around here.
Wow.
So it all started from there. That's when the seed was actually planted.
So I take it you being able to reconnect with your whānau brought you to this place where you ignited this relationship, and then she inspired you.
Absolutely. She just sparked something in the Wairoa to be able to give my confidence back too, because I was doing creative design and my own screen printing when I was 23-ish, when I was a single mother, and that actually took off, and then I left that to go into another corporate role. So that's when that kind of faded out, and then I progressed into the corporate sector. But now it's just, I felt
full
at that
circle,
time
you came back and reconnected again.
Like, that's not who I am.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's funny, the way the elements in our whānau can connect us to our truth, our purpose.
Yeah.
What a beautiful story. That's what it's all about. I guess this is why I wanted to start this podcast, just to get that type of kōrero going, because that's where it really does happen, is when you actually have that light bulb that comes on. And it often takes us to reconnect either with the elements or our whānau to be able to find our truth, or do that whole full circle and come back to what we're really, really good at, what we're passionate about, and all those types of things. And to be honest with you, I know Auntie Ata, she's been such an incredible inspiration for our town and for us as youth. She was there for us as youth. She used to put on blue light discos. She used to take us out to restaurants as kids, you know what I mean? Places that we had never thought that we would see before. And she made sure that she gave that experience to us. So she's incredible. Yeah, I'm so glad that you've reconnected. Awesome. So once that inspiration was established, where did it start growing, and then when did those, struggles come in? Were there any struggles?
Absolutely. And I think with everything that we do as entrepreneurs, we're always going to have struggles. We're always going to have adversity. But then it's up to us in our mind, like, okay, so what is the solution, instead of just dwelling on it and letting that affect our wairoa. So she ended up giving me a photo of Korotiaki, and he was in a korowai. Yeah. And from that, I was just like, it just spoke to me. I was just like, man, there's so much mana behind behind this picture. So I just kind of sat on that, and then from the feathers from his korowai represented the feathers for the earrings. So that's how all that eventuated, and with that it just absolutely grew. So I started off on social media. Yeah. From that, I was just like, man, like, I did have people in the background who were just like, weren't quite accepted of what I was doing at that stage and didn't quite believe in me. But I didn't let that affect me, because that's not who I am as a person. I'm just like, okay. So when I have negative kind of comments coming at me, that's when I like to strive and be like, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong. This can work. This is who I am. I'm going to show you why. And so I just put my head down and did it. It absolutely blew up on social media. And then from there, I was just like, man, how do I make my own website? So I researched that. I chose Wix to be my site at that stage, because it was the cheapest. Okay. And because I was on a low budget.
So you started a business through stuff you make, created some, unfortunately there's some haters that came with, and then as you could see it potentially growing, and then you're going into starting to design your own website?
Yeah. Really?
Okay, mana wahine, kōrero mai. Now you're like a graphic designer.
I'm really lucky that I'm creative in so many different aspects of what I do. So I didn't have much money to be able to spend on someone who could do my website for me, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to be authentic and to do it myself. So I started researching, and I found that Wix was the cheapest at that stage. Yeah. So then I just did a bit of Google search, as you do, and then it came up how to connect the payments, how to do setting it up yourself with the pictures. And then once I was quite confident with that, then that's when I launched that, and then directed everyone to the website to keep a track of the inventory side of things.
Wow.
And then
you'll have to do a class of your own and give it to the whānau, I think, because this is like really awesome things that you think have, it's just something that you do. This is actually entrepreneurial skills that you need to get to the level that you're at. So that's incredible, sis.
and I was hungry.
Yeah.
I was really hungry towards succeeding.
Yeah.
So that was also a number one drive. Like, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. My auntie planted the seed, and now it's time for me to water it. So I just started thinking, what else can I do? And then you level up, and then you just start. And then that's when Afterpay came along, and then Afterpay boosted a lot of the sales. It began to be 80% of the payment method for the website, because I know sometimes people don't have X amount of money to spend on tonga, so whereas giving them the option to do part payments, but then Afterpay pay you the next day in full, so then that's not really your concern if they miss payments. So that took care of that worry.
It sort of just helps the whānau out too, because Kari, I use Afterpay over there as well. I'm pretty sure 80% of our whānau use Afterpay. So that's awesome to know that that's on your website and you've made that available. So you've taken all that sort of stuff into consideration. So with the struggles and the hardships, I guess the main thing, the reason why I tap into that part often is because there's always lessons in there for other people through the hardships and through the struggles. There's always triumph if you continue to walk in your truth, and for others there's always these really beautiful blessings which are lessons to help them with their journey as well. So what would you say was one of your hardest struggles, if you don't mind me asking, and like to the point where you were just gonna be like, stuff this, it's not working, it's too hard, this and that's happening? Like, what was your hardest struggle and how did you overcome that?
I think there was a time mid last year, Common Element was actually under my own name, so it was Shay, Hira. That's when I designed the majority of things. It's only now that we've come into being a physical store where it didn't sit right naming it after me, because it's not all my mahi, so that wasn't fair. So I actually did give up. I gave up for about a month. I actually got to a point where I started selling a lot of my stuff, a lot of my resources, because that's how confident I was in, like, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm going to go back into real estate. And I kind of sat on that. I started selling stuff and it was going really fast, but then there was just something on my Waikato where it's just like, this isn't right. This isn't right. Like, you've just finished like coming under scrutiny from like a certain individual, and then you're just going to give up after all that you've done throughout like the year and a half,
all that you've created,
building a brand, all that hard work. Like, because I'm a mum, I also take care of my kids, and then I create after they're all sorted. So I can be up until like 4 o'clock in the morning just creating, or think of new designs, or just researching a lot of the goals that I have and how I'm going to accomplish it. So my Waikato was just like, no. All you need is, you just need some time to think about this. Just take a deep breath, just have a break, but just stop. How
did you come to that point? So you've given up, you've got to that point where you're just selling all your stuff, you've almost sold everything. What made you come to a point where you're like, hold up,
when I saw everything going, when I saw my workstation bare, and when you've got a big workstation and you've had that for a good year and a half, and now you have like nothing, it kind of comes as like a bit of a shock. And I started missing being busy. I started missing being creative, and it was just a point where I was just stubborn. And I was just like, why? You're better than this. Why are you giving up just because of you're facing adversity? Like, just take a breath. And so I did, and I just kind of reflected, and I was just like, man, and I actually did apply for another real estate job, but it was an administration position at that stage. I knew I was a top contender for it because I had experience, and I could do that with my eyes closed, but then I didn't end up getting it. And then I looked at my husband, I was like, I I just got an email saying like, oh, thank you for applying, but unfortunately. And then I was like, what? How can I be unsuccessful because of the town that it is in? I know that there wasn't many people with qualifications or experience at that stage in this.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, like, this is my confirmation where this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, get back all that stuff.
Yeah.
Pick your lip up.
Yeah.
And just carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say you reminded yourself to take a breath, what part of that was telling you that? Like, where do you think, was that like a mind thing? Was that a mindset for you, or was that more like a Maori thing for you?
It was definitely a Maori, because the majority, well, actually everything that I've done was drawn through by Maori. So
Yeah.
for some reason I can just feel certain things and I can just hear certain things. And I knew that it was bigger than just me just creating. Like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do it for a reason.
Right.
I'm supposed to be another person for the young ones to say, you know, yeah, I'm from a small town, but I can become successful. You know, you just need a little bit of encouragement, and you just need someone and hear their story about what they've overcome and their challenges, and
Beautiful.
look where they are now. So as long as you put your mind to it, anything is possible.
Yeah. And even just with these stories that your struggles that you've gone through, the fact that you gave up for about a month, that's going to help so many people out there. Because I know that, you know, when you do follow something passionate like yourself, and you start from scratch and you start building up and you start putting all this hard work in, you know, we have to ensure that we do follow our Maori. That's why I had to ask you, did you think that's a mindset thing or a Maori thing? And I think often with the noise and with people that can often discourage you, it can sort of like pull you left, right and centre, and you end up being like an elastic and you just snap. But sometimes those snaps are like a blessing, eh?
Absolutely.
What advice, or what are some tips you would give to other mana wahine like yourself, or entrepreneurs that are just starting up, starting things with their creativity and starting to walk in their purpose with their business? What are some of the tips that you would give them to stay motivated and stay on that path?
Surround yourself by people who are going to encourage you as well. That's really important to the wairoa. So, you know, there are going to be times where you're going to be like, oh, you know, I don't feel like doing this today. But just really carry on. Like, just don't give up in whatever you do. Follow your calling. If you ever need to talk to someone else who's been there, like, feel free to also message me. I'm more than happy to even talk about what I've been through a little bit more in depth because of what we may have not touched on. But yeah, I'm definitely open to conversations, especially seeing everyone, especially our Maori people, being able to have the motivation and self-belief in themselves, really, and just step out of the fear of, or what if, like, there's a lot of what ifs, but what if I hadn't gained the courage, then I wouldn't have opened up the shop that we have, and we're doing really well. So and now that we've just finished doing our online shop, I feel like we've also defied the odds. So we're not only Maori on the main street of Huntly opening up our own business in Red when there's a lot of COVID cases and so many people are isolating right now. So we're out here. This is a dream. This is a desire. So we've had so many local people come in, like, you know, bringing in their artwork, and I've got a kaumatua, his name's Robert. He has connected me to a number of different artists in there. So from a carver to a bone carver to soon to be a weaver. So he heard the kaupapa about the shop, he's heard the vision, and he was just like, you know, whatever I can do to tautoko you. So that's just been a real blessing, meeting different people from all walks of life.
It sounds like you've been a blessing to the area too. You know, you're starting to bring out people out of the woodworks. You know, you're starting to bring out all these creatives that are wanting to be a part of, I guess, that feel good vibration that you're setting just by walking in your truth. You're so inspiring. You know, I'm so grateful that you even came here by our awa to talk about your success as well as your struggles, and being open to help the whānau out there, and giving beautiful advice for others too, because that's what it's all about. Another thing to touch on too, with whānau out there who would want to tap into Shay and ask her a few more questions, she's got, as you heard, Common Element. She's got a website up there, Flickr and email. If there's anything else that you want to touch base on in regards to her journey, make sure that you tap into that space. And just to tap into what she was talking about in regards to her advice and her tips to help whānau out there get through the struggles. Yeah, just also feel free to talk to somebody, just like how we're having a kōrero today. We're just out here by the awa, out here by the Waikato River, just having a chat.
Beautiful.
Having a kōrero, and it's all organic. There's no structure here, so I feel like even with that, it helps with direction, and it helps with our navigation, and it helps with our purpose and our walking in our truth and things like that. So that's another encouraging factor for our whānau out there. Just get out and talk about it. If you've got some frustrations around, you know, what you're going through, just take someone, take an auntie, take a cousin, and just grab them and have a kōrero. Funny thing, when you come and kōrero by the awa though, there's an extra Maori there.
Yeah.
There's an extra, hey, you can feel it, eh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a little bit of advice on a collective vibe that we've got going on here. Without further ado, thank you again. Is there anything else you would like our listeners to know about you over there? Have you got any side projects or future projects coming out that you'd like to fill us in about?
Absolutely. So with what we've done so far, with opening a physical store, we have seen a need in our local community, mainly based around the youth. So kind of bringing them off the street and giving them things to do, because at this stage where we are in Huntly, there's not many things for them to do locally. So therefore, when they get bored or when they get tired, they end up doing things that, you know, you're not meant to, but it's because that they're not led and they don't have something that they're passionate about doing. So we're working on a few projects right now to kind of get them from coming off the street into the shop, even doing some workshops, doing some artwork, and then they can sell it. So the youth definitely do need space, and that's what we're hoping to provide for them, is even a space on the wall to put some artwork and then sell it, and then they can find that encouragement, and hopefully that'll stir up something within their wider world, like, this is what I want to do. But I also found essentially what this journey was about is whakapapa. Once you know your whakapapa, once you start tapping into it, it just stirs a whole different thing about who you are, your vision, where you want to go. So hopefully if we can just even inspire one person to be like, okay, like, I'm going to try this out, like, you know, bring your artwork into the shop and we'll put it up on the wall for you. Like, we're about the community, we're about being able to inspire. So yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me.
I make sure that you do reach out to her whānau. That sounds absolutely beautiful, especially for our rangatahi, creating space over there and creating opportunities, and that's what it's all about, whānau. I mean, imagine, you know, even if it's one of your tamariki out there and they find value in what they, you know, envision up here, or what they can put out here, or whatever it is, however they artistically present themselves, being able to put that in a space like yours would be a dream come true.
Absolutely.
So thank you again, sis. Shay, Hira, Common Element. Make sure that you go and check out all the links that we have down the bottom, or in the posts, or in the podcasts. Again, Maori blessings, Maori aroha, Maori ora, my sis. Thank you.